It's been a whirlwind 24 hours for the city of Detroit, Governor Rick Snyder and the new emergency financial manager, Kevin Orr.
Not everyone is happy with this historic change for the city, but the plans are in place to put Detroit back on track and to pull out the city out of this financial crisis.
And tonight, Governor Rick Snyder and emergency financial manager Kevin Orr join us. Welcome to our studio. And what's this last 24 hours been like for you, Kevin?
It's been a little busy. It's been a little busy. You know, the great thing about it, though, is everywhere I've gone, the amount of enthusiasm and the amount of encouragement that I've gotten, and the sense among the city that there's going to be some forward lean and momentum. It's been, I got to be perfectly honest with you, been a little bit overwhelming, but it's lifted me into a position that I just think is just wonderful.
Governor, quick question for you. We watched you at the press conference yesterday. The mayor was standing there with both of you. How did you get the big turnaround with the mayor, and now even the city council seems to be turning around somewhat?
Well, I appreciate it. No, the mayor and I have had a good relationship for some time, and I really appreciate him getting on board with this, because the way to view this situation is we're adding a tremendous resource here. Both professionally, Kevin's the best in his field, and we should feel fortunate in Detroit to have someone of his caliber in this position. The tools the emergency manager can bring, and it shouldn't take away from having a mayor and city council. It's like, have a mayor, have a city council, have everyone, all hands on deck coming to solve these problems, because a lot of good people have tried to solve these problems for how many decades? Many. And it hasn't gotten done. This is the time to get it done. This is the time to move Detroit in a positive direction and grow the city through this process. And that's what's exciting. It's going to be hard work, but let's just focus on that.
All right, Kevin, I know it's only been 25 hours on the job now, but the question people keep asking me about you is, does he have a plan? Do you have a plan, or at least an outline of a plan?
Well, I have an approach. I mean, I think the first thing to do, and I'm not on the job yet, I'm on as of the 25th, but the first thing to do is to get into the office and start looking at the data. I've said again and again, this is going to be a data-driven undertaking. That means looking at statistics, but looking more importantly at the inflows, the outflows, and the obligations of the city. That aspect of the job is pretty fundamental, and we have good consultants in the city already doing components of those jobs.
Your former company?
My former law firm has been retained, and I say former because effective in about half an hour, I'm no longer a member of that firm. So we're trying to get a hold of that data. I want to get my hands around it. And the first thing I really want to do is use that data to drive decisions, as the governor and I have said, regarding the services to the people of Detroit. I think, you know, I can talk at the 40,000-foot level about the financial analysis and what needs to be done to restructure the balance sheet and how the ledgers have to run. But from what I've heard from most people, they just simply want to see a turn in city services and see a change in the quality of life for them and their families. And I'm not unaware of that. So part of that's going to be initially get the data. What I really want to do is focus at services.
You have a lot to tackle in 18 months. I was even talking to some Detroit business people today, and they wanted to ask you, I mean, how are you going to bring revenue back to the city, and how are you going to include some of the businesses who have been here through the rough times now that you want to make a change?
Well, you've got some, you know, Detroit's very fortunate. It's got some great business fathers and mothers. Certainly Quicken Loans, Dan Gilbert, for instance, the Ford family, the Illiches, just to name a few, have already shown their sort of willingness to pitch in for the city. The foundation community has been here for a long time. I certainly want to reach out to them and see if I can include them in this process, because they can be a big part of the solution. But your direct question was, how do you increase revenues? We're going to look at everything. Everything's on the table in terms of being able, cashiering operations, collections, being able to monetize some of the operations and utilities perhaps of the city. Everything's on the table.
Now, a lot of people are worried about, are you going to sell some of the city? Things like the water department, which may be one of the few money makers, and Belle Isle, for instance.
Belle Isle is a biggie.
Belle Isle is a very much a big end. And let me say this, Carol. I want people to really understand, you know, I'm sensitive to Belle Isle and the historical nature of Belle Isle. There was a time when a lot of people, the racial issue, if you will, a lot of people couldn't go to Belle Isle. So the concept that we finally got there, and now they're talking about selling it, as people say, is different. But we have to look at it from another standpoint. I mean, my approach has been to look at transactions and opportunities, not all of them, and say, first of all, is there a net benefit available to the city to offlay some assets, liabilities, or obligations, and to bring in some cash flow? And if there is, let's examine whether or not we should do that with this whole other way. The same thing, Matt, you were talking about the water department. Water's a net positive cash generator. But what if I were to say to the city, hey, you know, you're still going to have your water department. It may be a part of a broader authority, but it's going to net you on a capitalized basis $50 million a year. That's $500 million. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So you have to look at this from through the prism of what the benefit may be to the city.
Okay, we're almost out of time, Governor. We do want to give you the last word.
Well, this is a great opportunity, and I hope people look at it as not as a threat, but as a problem-solving exercise. Let's all come together with solutions, not dwell on the problems, but put solutions in place and do them. This is our chance to bring Detroit back. It's exciting. Let's get her done. Relentless positive action, no blame, no credit, solve the problem.
Let's get her done.
Exactly.
Well, Kevin Orr, welcome back to Detroit.
Thank you so
and the
much.
best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
And Governor, thank you both for coming in.
We
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
us on.
Of course, you can count on 7 Action News and WXYZ.com for continuing team coverage of the city in crisis as the new emergency financial manager tries to get the city back on track.